everyone. All right, another episode. Thank you for downloading the Retro Gamers. We're getting more and more fans, more and more follows. So thank you, everyone. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
What's going on, Ant?
Oh, you know, the usual.
The huge. I like it. That's pretty much what we do here. The huge.
Yeah, the huge. Although, I mean, what is the huge in relation to me these days anyway? I don't even know anymore.
There is nothing usual with you.
No, none whatsoever. But
yes,
at this fleeting moment, I'm actually in the United States.
Oh my gosh, are you actually possibly home?
I am home as of this recording.
But not necessarily maybe when it posts.
No, I can't guarantee that.
That works.
Actually, I could say with certainty that is, yes, I will not be here when this posts.
I will shortly be gone.
Again.
There you go. Always jet set. Well, that's good. But
yeah, you know, that's me. Just can't keep my feet on the ground.
Getting around. That's what it's all about. Hey, you got those pins I sent you, right? The pins that we were talking about last week from Kubako?
Oh, yes, from Kubako. Thank you very much for those, by the way. They're really awesome.
Right? They're cool. And they move and everything. When I took the pictures, obviously they're still pictures, so I tried to get a look of what the pin looks like, and then I'm like, oh, wait, you know, it's... Yeah, there you go. You're showing them right now.
I got my pins.
And because they move. That's the whole thing. So I actually shared a part from Kubako. There we go. All 4 pins Anthony has. So, yeah, all right, cool.
They're really cool. Very, very unique work. Very innovative. I'm liking this Kubako.
They're good stuff. They also, like I said, supplied with that MST3K pin from Netflix, so they're pretty cool. It's not that we meant to talk about it. It just dawned on me. I'm like, I hope you got the pins and that you enjoy them. Interactive.
I did as much appreciated. I just have no idea what to do with them.
That's you put them up somewhere.
I know. I'm personally not a pin wearer, so I'm gonna have to find someplace. I'm gonna have to find someplace cool to put them up.
Fair enough. So, well, you're home. I mean, oh, you know what? Before I do that, hold on. There is something else I want to show you. I'm going to take a picture of this, and I'll put it up on the Instagram, which is at @the_Retro Gamers. So I purchased this. I think you'd find this pretty cool. I needed a new USB hub, so I bought a USB hub. But if you take a look here.
Now that's a cool USB hub.
It is a Sega Genesis version 1.
A version 1 Sega Genesis, yes. Where did we find this?
This I bought actually from Shirt Punch. Was it Shirt Punch? Yeah, shirtpunch.com. So we're going to, we do a lot of plugs for places that aren't really paying for the plugs. So free plugs, everyone.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, because we want our fans to hear about, the cool stuff that we're picking up at places.
We do, and eventually we want free stuff.
Well, yes, that is always the end goal, right?
So it's a 4-port Sega Genesis hub. That's again the version 1 Genesis. And what's cool is the volume moves.
Nice.
And the on-off switch. I don't think they do anything. I think they just move for the sake of moving. Or I broke it and I already got it moving.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, it's just a nice touch to the authenticity.
I always found it weird how the Genesis had the volume control on it. I mean, I know it had the headphone jack, but it was kind of, genius.
Well, yeah, I mean that was the whole point, because if you were going to plug in your headphones, you needed to control the volume of it. I don't remember if the TV necessarily controlled it or not at that time.
No, not the headphone jack. No. And then one more thing I'll show, and again I'll put a picture of it when this posts. Because I ordered one more thing from Shirt Punch. I gotta stand up for this one. Let me see if the camera can catch it. Give me 2 seconds here, folks.
Are you gonna moon me? I see. It's an NES Classic sweatshirt. Retro gaming 8-bit sweatshirt. It's got a nice Nintendo controller on it and looking really, really cool. And I really wish Larry would turn around so he can pick up his mic and start talking.
Headphone jack that I'm not wearing, so.
Yeah, you kind of need to rejoin me so you can hear what I'm saying. Of course, he is putting his headphones back on. But yeah, welcome back. Took you long enough.
And I'm back.
Well, welcome back.
Oh,
we
I like this. Maybe I'll do it
miss
standing
you.
up. I like that. So I got that this pretty sweet sweatshirt as well, which people at work are already talking about. I think I got one guy heading over to Shirt Punch, going to be purchasing one of these.
I was gonna say, are they talking about it in the sense of laughing at you?
No, it's a good hoodie. I always wear a hoodie at work, and I retired the WrestleMania one because it was last year's WrestleMania, so I needed a new hoodie.
Oh wow! God forbid you wear that one.
Nope, that's it.
Current WrestleMania.
No, that's it. Done. As soon as April 2nd hit, that hoodie was retired.
Very nice. Well, the sweatshirt that you showed is actually pretty cool. So you should post an image of that on our.
I certainly will.
As well.
And they also have an updated one that it's the same thing, but it's 16-bit, and I think my friend said it has a Genesis controller on it.
Oh, nice. Well, that's an interesting debate. Like, Genesis or SNES, which one won the war? Apparently, Shirt Punch thinks it was Genesis.
Possibly. I would say Nintendo because they're still making hardware. Well, yeah, they're kind of still making hardware.
I was going to say that necessarily doesn't matter. I mean, just because they're still in business. I mean, Sega Dreamcast I thought was a really solid system. Granted, it was their last system, but I just don't think they ever recovered from the Saturn. Ultimately.
No, probably the Saturn probably put the kibosh on a lot of it. But yeah, it's weird. I still, it's odd. Like you can tell the trend sometimes, like why systems don't make it. But yeah, the Dreamcast is just an oddity in that situation.
Yeah, really powerful system, some really solid gaming, but unfortunately, by that time, Sony had already kind of passed it by in terms of your CD gaming. So everybody was just there, and then Xbox came out.
Yeah, that was going to be the next generation anyway, which is fine, because I feel Xbox was a generation above, like a next gen console above Dreamcast, in my opinion. So eventually, it was going to happen. It was just that you're right. That short shelf life for the Dreamcast always still is kind of odd, kind of weird.
Yeah, and unfortunate for Sega because that was the end of their console days.
Yeah, it was, but they're still making games. But speaking of consoles, especially more recent consoles, we were talking before we started recording here. You were having some Switch issues because I know I was.
Yeah, no, I had an interesting Switch issue where I was playing the handheld. And I did the cool thing where you put it in the dock so it'll go right up on the TV. And when I did that, the entire thing froze completely.
That's not good.
Froze on screen, and then when I took it out of the dock to go back to handheld, it was frozen on the handheld.
Oh Jesus!
And I had to do a hard reset. So if you go online and you look it up, you can do a hard reset just by holding the power button down for 15 seconds.
Yep.
For anybody who has Switch issues, and it'll automatically do a hard reset. So yeah, I've encountered my first major issue with the Switch, and apparently switching back and forth from TV to handheld isn't as seamless as it may appear to be.
Not for everybody.
No.
Yeah, I had a problem with the Switch as well. My trying to connect to the internet. Both the wired connection went in the dock and wireless, just it wouldn't connect to the DNS server. But I couldn't find, because I'm always putting it in sleep mode. I couldn't, even though it's right on top of the system, I forgot it even had a power button. Like I was searching all over the place how to reset the stupid system, and then finally, I guess the way I was holding it, I finally just felt the power button up on top, and yeah, I just held it and reset, and then. Finally, it worked because for like 3 days I couldn't get online. The poor thing had to update itself.
Well, in terms of you not finding the power button, that's a personal issue. All you gotta do is read an instruction manual, or for God's sakes, just use your eyes.
It's a very small button on top of the unit.
And yet, most people know it exists.
I forgot. If you don't turn it off, you forget.
Yep.
But you know what's cool about the Switch? Because they just did a Nintendo Direct. Namco Museum games are coming out for the Switch, like a Namco Museum thing. I'm trying to think of one more. Oh, and then this is on 3DS, but they'll probably have something on Switch for the 25th anniversary of Kirby. It looks like they're going to have some games coming out. So
I've never played a Kirby game.
Oh, they're fun. I like the later ones actually, like the first. Well, the one on Game Boy, the very first one, was pretty good. The one on Nintendo I have a little trouble playing. I don't know why. I feel like the controls is a little off. But the recent ones are fun. Recent ones are on 3DS.
Well, it's one of those series that I just never got to, and really need to go back and try.
It's there. It's definitely there. And well, you can play because you have the mini Famicom, so it's on there.
That is true.
And unfortunately, I don't know, and I hate to say it, you may not be able to get an NES Classic anymore.
Bite your tongue.
Because we're gonna. It's hard not to talk about this piece of news that came out yesterday. Yeah. From the time we were recording this.
Well, so I was just gonna say when we say yesterday, we mean Thursday.
Yeah. Nintendo apparently is discontinuing the NES Classic, which is probably
indefinitely.
Yeah, which is probably the biggest bonehead move of the century.
They're making a lot of fans angry right now.
I read a couple of. I don't know how many articles you read about it. I read 2 articles.
I've read plenty. Yes,
I read IGN and USA Today. And bottom line, neither one of them really gave a definitive reason, like this is why we're no longer making them.
No, no, and that's not true. Nintendo did give a reason. It's just it doesn't sound like a valid reason. So their statement was that they never planned on this miniature console to be a long-term product.
Yes, I saw that.
It was specifically meant for a short-term product. Now, I mean, logistically speaking, it could have been that they decided to release it for a short period of time up until their new systems, the Switch came out. Mm-hmm. So in other words, here's something to tide you over for a few months. And then when the Switch comes out, you can jump on the Switch. And then all these games that are going to be in the classic NES will probably be downloadable. So then you can just buy them on the Virtual Console, and nobody's going to want the classic NES anymore anyway. Mm-hmm. What they didn't count on is the fact that everybody wanted it because it was a cool collectible item, and they didn't realize the appeal it had for retro gamers.
Oh yeah, no, they completely I remember they said when the height of this whole thing of the shortage was happening, Nintendo was like they expected the demographic to be like our age group, mm-hmm. late middle to why I'm in this demographic now, late 30s to 40s, maybe in their 50s, like those of us who are older now who were kids back then with the NES. They figured just us would want to collect the system. They were not expecting kids wanting the system, which is what caused this whole situation to happen.
Well, yeah, I think what they completely underestimated is the fact that the people that they were appealing to, 30s and 40s, they have kids of their own now. So they're going to see something like that and it's like, "Oh, this is cool. I loved playing these when I was a kid, so now I'm going to share it with my kids." So it actually became, more of a family console, mm-hmm. I think, at least.
Yeah.
So more people were buying it not just for themselves, in terms of reliving the past, but also to share it with their kids, with a new generation,
which is good, and that was the idea. But I'm talking about people who adults, we'll call them for lack of a better term, older adults who had no plans of getting the classic, but their kids all of a sudden wanted the classic, like that younger demographic. You know what I mean?
I know that's kind of what I'm saying though. So yeah, they completely underestimated that, and then And then on top of that, it's to make a decision like that when it was in such high demand. I mean, before they announced it was being discontinued, I mean, you could only find it online. And even now finding it, when you were finding it online, it was probably $130 or $150 minimum. The minute that article came out, all of the prices got jacked. You go on eBay, you're seeing it for $500.
Yeah, when I saw that post, I went on to Amazon and took a screenshot, and the games were already selling at $250, and that was when it was first announced. And I think as the news grew, like you just said on eBay, prices were just skyrocketing.
Yep. Yeah, no, and it's just crazy that it's just crazy that Nintendo would discontinue a product that's in such high demand. Again, to your point, we don't know the official reason aside from what they said. Now, there were issues with it being hacked, and that could be part of the reason why they pulled it, because people were hacking the system and installing every single Nintendo game ever made into the thing.
True.
So that could have been a reason to discontinue it. However, when they made the announcement on Friday that they were temporarily discontinuing the Famicom in Japan, the mini Famicom, but they stated in that article that it would be coming back at a later date. They're just temporarily discontinuing it. Now, the mini Famicom has the same issue that the classic NES has, where people have hacked it, and so that makes me think that that's not the reason why they canceled the classic NES. So it leads me back to the thought of, at least for North America purpose, that it was a holdover for the Switch. And now that we have the Switch, they don't want anybody to be distracted with buying a $60 console or miniature console when they want to sell their $300 console to everybody.
Agreed, totally agreed. And I don't have a problem with the reason with Nintendo saying that it was always meant to be like a limited time system. That's fine by me. But you kind of just mentioned it before. It's like the demand was so high, and Nintendo said, like, for I forgot, like a month or two ago, they were like, well, the reason why we're not making more of them is because, like, what was it? The parts were hard to make, or one of the pieces was hard to manufacture or something.
Yeah,
so quickly.
It was something like that.
Yeah, I forgot the exact wording, but it was something along the lines of they couldn't mass produce like one little piece in this game system. But it's just the fact that they've now... Nintendo their history is always about making money. I mean, look, any business is about making money. But Nintendo, they always did what they could to corner the market in making money. And I would have definitely thought that the way this system took off and the way it was just, it could have printed money for Nintendo. I'm just shocked they... November, December, January, February, March, April.
That's 6 months.
5-6 months in.
5-6
done.
Months, yeah.
They're done because of that.
And on top of that, now they're like, and they came out with their numbers. They said within 5 months they sold 1.5 million, miniature consoles, and I'm like, that's a great number, and to have people, still wanting it, I go, is amazing. So, again, like I posted on Facebook, I think this is a major fail on their part. Because they're shutting out a large portion of their fans that want this thing.
You just said that a lot of people want the system, and I know a lot of people still want the NES Classic, but I think because of this, it's turning a lot of people off from the Classic.
Well, no, I agree, because as soon as I read that article, and then I saw people bumping up the prices online and everything like that, my natural response to that was I got angry and I said, you know what, now I don't want it. I was like, it's not because I don't currently have it. I didn't because normally when you hear something's going away, your initial response is, oh, I better get my hands on it before it goes away. But this thing's been mishandled so much since day one. When they announced that it's being discontinued, my initial response is, you know what, fine, discontinue it. Now I don't want it. I was like, because you clearly don't have your fans' best interests in line here. So, and if that's the case, then you know what, you're not getting my money for it.
It's because think about it like this: if they sold 1.5 million units, if it was always meant to be a short-run system, like say they always planned 6 months, from day one they planned 6 months. They would have, if stocks were regularly available, they would this would have been done in January. You know what I mean? Like if everyone was able to get it, normally speaking.
Yeah.
And they should have, if they would have put limited edition on it, I guess that would have been different. But with Nintendo, this is a company that one of the reasons why Nintendo took so long to go to CDs, like the N64 was still a cartridge, because the video game companies, they needed to buy a minimum number of cartridges if they wanted to make a game for the N64. Well, guess what? There was only one company who made the cartridges for the N64, and that was Nintendo. So even if the game was a flop, Nintendo was already 250,000 units in on whatever game was going to be released. So they know how to make money. And when there's a failure, all joking aside, we joke about this each and every week. For 39 weeks, we've joked about this one system in particular. But when there's a failure like the Virtual Boy, they didn't give it much time. They cut the cord on that quickly. It's weird to see them cut the cord so quickly on a success.
First off, it puts a smile on my face to hear you say Virtual Boy and failure in the same sentence, because it's nice. No, it's just nice to hear you say it once in a while.
I'm being honest.
Because it's true. But no, I mean, and I agree with you on that. It's like when you realize something's not making you money and you're going to take a loss on it, obviously the best thing to do is, get ahead of that loss as best as you can so that you're not digging yourself into too big of a hole, like, E.T. Atari sized hole. Mm-hmm. And, Nintendo did that with the Virtual Boy. But, we're dealing with something I feel like it's not necessarily unprecedented, but it's definitely rare, where you have something that's, in high demand and your response is the complete opposite of what everybody is expecting. It's like, it's like that hot Christmas item that everybody wants to buy for their kid. It's like when you don't get it for your kid, you'll get it like a month or two later. Now, granted, the Christmas is over and you lose that window for it, but a couple of months later, it's going to be on the shelf again, mm-hmm. so that you can get it for your kid. Now, this is something that it's a complete 180 on that. It's like, we only had a limited number. Sorry, folks, we're done.
And I know at least 2, maybe 3 people who spent like $160, who spent like $200 and something on this system, especially now recently. So people, you know what I mean? And it's look, don't get me wrong, it's a great system. The fun factor can be in the hundreds, but as far as like hundreds of dollars, that doesn't make sense. But in any event, people want it.
Rarely do, so it's okay.
People want it, and so people are buying it. Bottom line, people are buying it at that expensive price. So now it's like no one else has a choice anymore. Because I honestly thought when this thing sold out in November, December, I thought after the new year it was going to be back in stock. So I was wrong on that. So.
Well, and not only that, I mean, the people that are going to be selling it now for a profit, I mean, Nintendo doesn't win out on that because Nintendo doesn't see a dime of that.
But Nintendo wasn't expecting that dime. You know what I mean?
No. I understand that, but I'm like, that's like saying, if you created like, let's say you created your own video game and you just did it for fun, and you're like, oh, I'm going to throw it up on the Virtual Console for sale. Maybe like 10 people will buy it, and then within the first week, like 1,000 people buy it. Is your response going to be like, well, I better pull the game before it gets too popular?
Didn't the guy who made Flappy Birds do that?
Yeah, something like that. But you know what I mean? It's like, you're talking like, within 5 months, they made, that was $90 million in sales.
A lot of money. I mean,
that's a lot. That's a lot of money to then like turn around and be like, well, we could possibly make, double, triple, quadruple that, but nah.
Or is this just a ploy where they pulled the NES Classic to reintroduce a new NES Classic in the shape of the top loader NES system that came out at the tail end of its lifetime?
I don't think so. I mean, that's funny, but I don't think that's true at all, because based on the reaction they're getting for the announcement, that's definitely not the case. And again, it's going to be one of those things where it's like, now we'll see how this impacts them. I'm assuming it's not going to, because the Switch is doing really well in sales. Yeah. So I'm sure for Nintendo, they're just like, it's fine with us.
Yeah, it's two separate. I mean, it's two separate systems.
But we have a shared friend who has been very, very angry about the fact that he hasn't gotten his hands on an NES Classic, and we did get to see his Facebook feed go nuclear this week.
Oh, he desperately wants to come on the show. You know that, right?
Yeah, he wants to come on the show to specifically talk about that, but I you know what? I'm a little leery because we tend to be PG for the most part. I'd like us to remain that way. However, if he does want to come on the show to talk about it, I'll be happy to have him as a guest.
Oh man, his ears are probably burning as we speak.
Well, we'll see if he listens to this episode.
Hey, speaking of which, you're going to Japan, aren't you?
Segue.
And that's a good one, if you know that.
Larry, you are the virtual boy of the human race. Interpret that as you will. Yeah, I am heading to Japan again.
Yeah, right.
So, and again, as I always do when I go to Japan now, top of the list now is my new favorite retro shopping place.
Super Potato.
Super Potato.
Can you please go into Super Potato, give them one of our business cards, and if they can sponsor just one episode, that we can end this series right then and there.
All right, I'll do. You know what? I'll do if I can find somebody who can understand me. I will do it.
Oh.
Because I can probably sell them on it. No, it's a big show in the United States.
Totally.
I want to do a show just dedicated to your stores.
Can you imagine the Retro Gamers brought to you by Super Potato?
You know what? I'll bring our business cards. Maybe they'll let me leave some there. That'll be awesome.
That would be fantastic.
All right, I got to pack those. So no, I'm gonna be. I will definitely be hitting up Super Potato once again on this trip, and I may be going back to Retro TV Game Revival, which was the other place that I went to in Osaka.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I hit that place up. That was when I came back with Super Mario 2 for the disc system.
Yes. Is that where you got? Is that where you got my Famicom 2?
No. Your stuff came from Super Potato.
Yes. Woo!
Yes. But I went shopping there 3 times in 3 different stores. It was first time was Super Potato in Tokyo, and then it was Retro TV Game Revival in Osaka, and then for your stuff it was Super Potato in Osaka.
Oh, wait a minute. Super Potato is like a franchise.
They have at least 2 stores.
Oh,
yes.
Wow. Is it like Super Potato and like Sweet Potato, or is it all?
No,
potato?
I was hoping they would have done something like that, like, either like Super Sweet Potato or Super Yam would have been kind of cool. But
Super Yam doesn't really roll off the tongue like Super Potato
does.
does.
but Super Potato they have a mascot, and wouldn't you know it, it's a potato with arms and legs.
Oh, I thought it was just when you first mentioned it, you said there was a giant potato. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I just envisioned a literal giant potato.
Just a potato
on did you see those Idaho potato commercials where they're trucking along the giant potato?
It's an actual animation, like drawn potato. So we're gonna have to put that up on our Instagram or Facebook since I've talked about it enough. So
we have
long live Super Potato.
You know what? If you can somehow write up some paperwork and get them to sign over us allowing to use Mr. Super Potato in our logo,
that could replace our logo. That'll be awesome.
I'm game. I'm good.
Or maybe we can have Super Potato with his arms around us, like we're all best friends. So
they'll never find us. Let's just use it.
Getting back to Super Potato. So this trip, which may be my last trip to Japan for a while. Maybe. There may be one more after this, but I think it's going to be my last trip for a while.
Oh, man.
So I'm making a point to stock up on whatever Famicom games I want.
You're loading up. You better bring a second airplane.
I'm flying business class. There's room. So I think, plus I have a friend joining me on this trip, so I'll be stuffing stuff in her bag.
Oh, excellent. Sweet.
So yeah, and who knows? I may come back with a Super Famicom or something.
Yeah,
Or
right?
I did have my eye on the Famicom disk system.
That would be spectacular. Because, I mean, you have a legit Famicom, so...
Yeah, and I have Super Mario Brothers, the legit Super Mario Brothers 2 for the disk system. And also, while I'm there, I can pick up Zelda 2, Adventures of Link, because that was also on the disk system.
Yep.
So that may be what I'm setting my sights on. Because if I buy a new system, then I got to buy a whole bunch of new games, and then that's just a whole other story. Because when I went there, one of the games I was specifically trying to hunt down was Shining Force 3, which only came out on the Sega Saturn, if you remember.
Yes.
And in the States, it's super rare and really expensive.
Very expensive.
So there, it was actually broken up into 3 games on the Saturn. There were 3. There was Shining Force 3 Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Unfortunately, though, it did not work on the U.S. system. I would have had to buy the Japanese Saturn. Oh. And playing a role-playing game in Japanese is just not going to work.
Just wasn't.
Sounds great.
Yeah, right.
It's great in theory until you realize that, it's just not going to work. So I wound up not buying it. However, since I am going back to Osaka, and I will be going to Super Potato and Retro TV Game Revival, hopefully. I'm going to pick up more games for my Famicom, and I thought since you now have a Famicom that you might have a little wish list of your own that you want fulfilled.
I do, and yes, Anthony was so gracious for my birthday to get a Famicom system. A couple of games. I asked for Super Mario Brothers, which he was obliged, but he also got me DuckTales, which I've been playing like crazy. And I even have what is that? Space Invaders from the Video Game Monthly box I did a couple months ago. So it's I was thinking about, and here's what I kind of the wall that I hit. There are exclusive Japanese games, but as far as ones that I could play that aren't in Japanese, that's the hard part I was trying to come up with. We got here's what I'm interested in. First of all, I have Super Mario Brothers 1, and have a pen and paper ready. I was thinking about Super Mario Brothers. You
got to email that to me.
Email
or text. I'm not writing it down.
Super Mario Brothers 2, Our Lost Levels.
But that's on the disc system.
Oh, that's right. Dang it, I forgot about that. See, this is why Japanese systems have to complicate everything.
Right. So the best you're going to wind up with is Super Mario Brothers USA, which is our Super Mario 2.
Which I'm good with.
Although I don't know. I mean, is it possible that they did release it on the NES as Lost Levels? Or on the Famicom? I don't know if they did.
They could have, but we'll scratch that one. All right.
Sorry.
No,
well,
don't be sorry.
If you want it for posterity and for collectability, then I'll pick it up for you. You just can't play it unless you want a Famicom disk system.
No, because it won't plug into this.
Oh no, it won't work. It won't work on what I gave you. Yeah.
You know what? If you see it, just text me the price.
Sure.
All right.
Mine was very inexpensive.
Okay. All right.
I think mine was like $9.
Oh, jeez. Oh, okay. Well, then if you find
it also didn't have the official packaging or anything. That's why it was just a disc, and
gotcha.
that was a printout of the the packaging.
All right.
But that was the only one. That was the only one they had. So I wasn't leaving Japan without one.
All right, so we'll follow up on that. Mega Man, one of the best series that's ever come about.
You mean Rockman?
Exactly, Rockman. So I was thinking maybe if you see Rockman 2. Rockman 2, that was a good one.
Of course, the best one.
I am a little jealous the fact that you did get that WWE game.
Oh, WrestleMania Challenge in original packaging.
Yes. So
very exciting.
If you see another one of those...
If I see any WWF game, it's yours.
I'm sorry, WWE. I don't want to play a World Wildlife Fund game.
Well, the games back then say WWF, so if you want me to look for WWE games, you're not going to get anything.
I don't know. I never heard of this WWF because according to history, that never existed.
Well, then I guess you're not getting any WWF games on your Famicom.
Stupid panda. So one of those, unless they have like, no, I don't think they ever came out like with a New Japan game. That'd be kind of interesting.
A New Japan Pro Wrestling game?
Yeah,
they may have
for NES. All right, if you see something like that.
I'm trying to remember which system Fire Pro Wrestling actually debuted on.
I believe it debuted on, I want to say the Super Famicom.
Okay.
I don't think it came out on the regular Famicom.
No, you might be right about that.
But then, I mean, like beyond that, I'm trying to like, what really Japanese games are there that would be spectacular enough, short of like the Legend of Zelda in box, which is going to be astronomical. So forget that. I mean, like OG Zelda. I know you got an awesome Zelda, but it looked like it was a reprint, but still workable.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and I think it ran me like $60.
Oh, that's not bad.
But it had the original packaging in excellent condition. Yeah, so I'm actually very happy that I picked that up. I actually want to try and pick up a version that I can play because I don't want to open the one that I have.
I don't blame you. Remember we were talking about there was that Japanese game. The guy on YouTube, JonTron, reviewed it. It's like some Japanese comedian made his own game. I'm looking it up as we speak.
You do that.
Filler. A peanut is neither a pea nor a nut. Discuss.
That's great.
It is a legume.
Look it up faster.
Oh, Star Wars? For the Famicom? Because remember, that was the one where like you fight Darth Vader, was the first level boss, but then he turns into a giant scorpion?
He does?
You never saw that? You never heard about that?
No.
Oh, it is a wickedly terrible game as far as difficulty, because it's like a one-hit, one-kill game. And you play as a blonde-haired Luke Skywalker, and you get to the final boss of the first level is Vader, Darth Vader. So you're like, okay, we'll run with this. As you play, at one point then, Darth Vader just turns into a giant scorpion for no reason whatsoever.
Why not? Why can't he turn into a giant scorpion?
It's almost like Koopa turning into a Goomba or something like that. The princess is in another castle.
I personally think that's awesome. I'm like, you know what? You know why? Because everybody's seen the movie. Everybody knows what happened. So here's a nice right turn for you.
And it's the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, so why not?
Sure. That's right. It is the 40th. Yep.
Yeah. And did you see the trailer for Last Jedi?
I did.
It looks good. And
you know what it looked like? It looked like a Star Wars movie.
And then the game I was talking about also is called Takeshi. Oh my god, Takeshi's Challenge. Takeshi.
Takeshi.
There you go. Takeshi's Challenge.
All right, so you want a copy of Takeshi's Challenge?
If you can find it, that may be very hard to find. So
why would that be hard to find? I'm assuming nobody wants it.
No, supposedly it was like a big time game, but I just don't think like many were made or they're around anymore.
Takeshi's Challenge. Okay. I'm trying to look up and see if they had any New Japan Pro Wrestling. I know that they have Tag Team Wrestling on Famicom, and they have Superstar Pro Wrestling, which was the WCW game.
Oh, all right. That works.
So that works.
I don't mind myself some WCW.
I'm trying to see if I can find New Japan, and I don't think they have New Japan.
All right, fair enough.
Well, if my computer would be a little more cooperative, I would look it up. But no, my security subscription is expired.
Yours too?
And they have to let me know about it.
It's all right. I'm battling this computer not to reboot in the middle because I'm the one that records this, folks. So I'm doing my best.
Please don't let that happen. Anyway, no New Japan. But if there's anything wrestling related, I will run it by you. Tecmo World Wrestling, they have that. If you remember that game.
Oh, I do remember that. Was a good game. Yeah, I remember that.
And they have WCW wrestling and tag team wrestling, and that's it.
See what Super Potato has to offer.
Super Potato. Very exciting.
Anything else?
I love Super Potato.
I'm just looking at some of the stuff I have here. Punch Out? Nah, I got enough.
But now I'm gonna. If I ever open a retro gaming shop in the U.S., it's gonna be Super Yam.
Oh,
it was going to be like, what does the name mean? I don't know.
Don't worry about it, people.
Don't worry about it. Go to Japan. You'll find out.
Oh, man. So, yeah, all right. So, we're looking at Rockman 2, copy of Lost Levels. Why not? Any WWE game, pretty much. If you can find that, Star Wars, and Takeshi's Challenge.
Yeah. Actually, WrestleMania Challenge was the only WWF game on the Famicom. They didn't have the other ones.
That's not bad because that first one's a rough one.
Yeah, I think WrestleMania Challenge was one of the better ones anyway.
It
was the only one. It was the only one that had the Survivor Series elimination match in it.
Yes,
which I was a fan of.
That 3/4 view of the ring, a little weird.
Which was weird.
Yeah, you had to get used to it.
But it worked.
All right. Are you thinking? Are you looking for anything? Let's try that again. Are you looking for anything in particular when you head there?
The ones that I want are sadly out of my price range. Yeah, one of the games that was pointed out to me by a friend of mine was Castlevania. He said if I could find Castlevania 3, pick it up because there is, I believe, extra music.
Oh.
In the Famicom version.
Okay.
So I really wanted to get my hands on that, but when I saw it, it was, I believe, $180.
Ooh, oh, ouch!
So, and I'm not willing to spend that much on it.
I mean, that's a good Castlevania game, but yeah, that's a little pricey.
But it pales in comparison to Castlevania 1, which I saw for a whopping $350. So yeah, exactly. So as much as I would like those, it's just not gonna happen. Outside of that, to be honest with you, when I'm looking in the shop, and I'll be on, and the other thing is when I'm looking, at least the 3 times that I've been there, I haven't had a tremendous amount of time to actually really go through everything.
Okay.
Because a lot of the games on the shelves are sideways, so you have to pull them out to see them.
Oh, work.
Yeah, which is work. The store in Tokyo had it laid out nicely where you could see most of the games. Mm-hmm. The one in Osaka is a smaller store, so it's not as easy to go through them. So, and since I will not be going to Tokyo this trip, I'm just going to be in Osaka. So I'm going to have to spend like at least a good hour or 2 going through everything. But I kind of want the ones in the boxes because I want the ones with the art.
I hear you.
I do love the box art, like the Final Fantasy ones that I got. I'm never going to play those games because they're in Japanese. Yeah. But getting the game in the box with the instructions and the box art, because the box art for the Final Fantasy games are gorgeous. They're absolutely beautiful.
Very nice.
And they're just worth owning outright for that reason. Agreed. So that's why I picked those up specifically, was for the art. So I'm just going to look around and see what grabs my interest, because I have now all the Super Marios. I have 1, 2, and 3, and the USA one.
Oh, nice.
So I don't have the original Mario Brothers, so I might keep an eye out for that.
Okay.
Wouldn't mind grabbing Contra and Super Contra.
Ooh.
If I can get my hands on those. I don't know if you know this.
Good call, Contra. Put Contra on the list. The first Contra, because that's like nowhere to be found on virtual consoles.
Yeah, because it was a third-party game.
Still. No, there's third-party games on virtual consoles.
No, there are third-party games on virtual consoles, but I'm just saying, it could just be that Konami didn't want to give it to them, give them the rights to it.
That was a good one. But
so,
yeah, if you find Contra, I'll definitely pick that up.
Yeah, Contra's definitely on the list. I wouldn't mind picking up The Adventures of Link. So I have the second Zelda, even though I know it's on the disc system.
Oh, yeah.
And I may wind up getting a disc system.
That'd be cool.
I may just give in and go for it.
Why not?
So, and then I don't know if there was any specific Japanese game that was like one of the most popular ones. Like getting a Mega Man would be awesome. By the way, the Rockman series there isn't, at least from what I saw, isn't as expensive as it goes for here.
Oh, that's good.
So, I mean, unless you want it in the box. Things in the box there, like some of them just go up astronomically.
I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, box is nice, but there's only a very select few games I'd really want like in box. So,
like, for example, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out that I saw in the store.
Yeah.
$900.
Oh, daddy.
Yep.
Wow.
But again, complete, and it may have been brand new.
That's why. I mean, I last year at that Long Island Retro Game Expo, I told you it was The Legend of Zelda in box. It was $150. The doors were open, and not 3 minutes later, it was sold.
It was gone.
It was gone, and I regret it.
Yeah, there will be a day when I finally give in and purchase like an unopened, brand new Legend of Zelda. Like that. That's a must for my collection.
Yeah, right.
No question about it.
Well,
so I mean, it's going to be whatever I find that's appealing when I get there.
Okay.
So I don't have a set plan.
You know, we always talk. I mean, and look, I admit it. We're heavy with Nintendo. In Japan, have you seen or piqued any interest in like Genesis or Master System games or anything like that?
Oh yeah, they have a ton of stuff there for other systems. Don't get me wrong. It's just that my heart goes straight to the NES because that was the original system, right? But the Super Potato stores, both of them, have different floors with different genre. I guess system genre. So like the first floor when you walk in is all current generation.
Okay, remember you telling me that, yeah.
And then when you go upstairs, like the next floor up is like NES, SNES, Genesis, Sega Master System.
Okay.
Those years, and then go up another floor, and I think N64 is there as well because it's like all the cartridge basically. Mm-hmm. Go up another floor, and you've got PlayStation, PlayStation 2, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast.
Nice.
GameCube, all of that stuff. So like they've got it all tiered, basically. The only reason why I always talk about Nintendo is because I bought the Famicom system. Even for like the PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast and all that stuff, those games don't play on US systems. So if I wanted to play any of the Japanese games for those systems, I got to buy the system too.
True, very true on that.
Unless there's a way to hack, because like I know for the PlayStation, there was a way to play Japanese games because I bought a couple of imports.
Yeah, remember it was kind of the same way you played copy games. You had a boot up disc, but you had to trick the system to think it was closed all the time. Remember the little spring you had to put in?
Yes, exactly. So like there's
toothpick?
a way. Right, there's definitely a way to do it, but not for all of them. So that's why, like, when I'm going there, I would love to buy other games for other systems, but right at the moment, I'm just gonna keep it centralized to the Famicom until I feel like moving on.
Fair enough. Moving right along. All right, cool. Well, good luck with that shopping.
Thank you.
Boy,
and just so you know, do you remember the game for NES called A Boy and His Blob?
Yes.
Okay, so in Japanese, it's Fushigi na Blobby.
Well, I'm going to guess Fushimi is...
Fushigi.
Oh, Fushigi. Fushimi, I think is what I ate for dinner tonight.
It could be Fushigi.
Is a boy, and I guess Blobby is a blob.
I think you need to reverse it. I think Blobby is boy. No.
It could be, right? That's pretty funny, actually. Boy, and it's Blob. I haven't played that game in forever.
I used to love that game, but I can never figure out exactly what to do.
Honestly, right?
I just used to love giving the Blob jelly beans.
That was it. And like, all right, it turns into a trampoline, turns into a rocket. Like, and only one, I forgot which color jelly bean was like, you only got to use once in the entire game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what I do? Actually, I'm sorry. I did think of one game that I wanted to get my hands on, and it's Doki Doki Panic.
Ooh, yes.
Which is the Super Mario Brothers 2 in the US That like the game that they reskinned as Super Mario Brothers 2.
It was the original game. Yeah.
Yep, Doki Doki Panic. So I did have my hands on it in one store. I don't remember which one. I think it was Retro TV Game Revival, but it was really expensive.
Was it the disc system or
no?
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was.
I don't think it was.
No, it might. No, I mean, it might have been. You may be right. I don't remember exactly. I gotta look.
Let me ask you this.
I'm gonna look. I'll look for it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you one more thing. Speaking of the disc system, like, did you like how much was? Have you seen the disc system? Like, priced?
Yeah.
Did you price it out?
No, I saw it in one of the stores, and I think it was about. 50.
Oh, that's not bad.
50 or 55. Yeah, no, I didn't think it was that bad. It all depends on the quality of it.
Oh, of course.
Because if it's in better condition, they charge a lot more.
Makes sense.
But the ones I was looking at, I think they were roughly $50. So that's not too bad.
Ever since you got me the Famicom, now because in August here on Long Island they're going to have the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo, and they do have Japanese games there. And years past I've looked and I've seen them, never had a chance to buy because I was never able to play them. But now that I got this bad boy, I think I'm going to be taking out maybe a small loan before I go to the expo to start buying some Japanese NES games.
You're welcome.
American Express, Visa, and MasterCard. Thank you.
Awesomeness.
So, all right, good. Well, enjoy Japan. And
I will enjoy Japan one more time.
One more time. Good
yeah.
Stuff. So, all righty. Boy, this was a good one. I'm feeling good about this this week. We got a lot going on. We had a heated debate with the NES Classic, talking about some Japanese games.
Was it a debate or just us complaining?
Probably a little bit of both. We're starting to get up in those ages now. We just start complaining instead of discussing. And
grumpy old men are we?
And remember, folks, follow the Facebook page, Retro Gamers Podcast. Put your views, your thoughts. What are your thoughts? And please try and keep it as clean as possible on what Nintendo's doing with the NES Classic, what Japanese games you'd like to get your hands on. Interact with us. Follow us on the Instagram page as well.
Yeah, please. I strongly urge each and every one of you to post which Virtual Boy game you hated the most. There is no right answer, but the right answer is all of them.
How dare you, sir?
We totally skipped over This Week in Gaming History. What happened?
Oh, I don't know. I
think we got distracted.
I think we did. Let's get into that. It's a slow week. I don't think much really happens. I think the
How dare you assume that nothing happened this week in gaming history? What makes you think that? You don't even do the research.
No, I don't. I really don't do much research whatsoever.
No, you just press all the fancy buttons on the computer over there.
I do, and so far, as long as it still works, we're good.
And it definitely still works. I know.
So far,
or I should say, I've been told.
Honestly,
I can honestly say I've yet to listen to an episode.
Look, you know what? You're right because I'm the biggest egomaniac you'll ever meet. I listen to these episodes about 5 times, even before they air the following Tuesday when we record.
Yeah, I, on the other hand, have no interest in listening to myself.
I love the sound of my own voice.
Yes, we know you do. Sadly, the feeling is not mutual with anyone in the universe.
You did listen to one episode.
Did I?
The one with Frank when you were gone.
Oh yeah, all right. So I lied. I listened to the episode. I'll listen to an episode that I don't exist on,
which was great because then he finally got to hear the theme song.
Yes, that was. Yes, I finally got. Yes, that is true. All right. So yes, I've listened to one episode of the Retro Gamers, and it's the one I was not there for.
Sweet. What happened?
Yeah. So moving on. So this week in gaming history, I got a lot of Japanese releases this time. That's probably why you wanted to skip over it because you hate the rest of the world. So
I don't hate them.
You just prefer to ignore them. I get it.
True.
It's
that's
okay.
Very much
no
true.
worries.
Yes, I'm good in my bubble. Except for those who listen to the show, we have an abundant number of people who listen in the UK.
Really?
Yes, I don't know how. But they do.
Oh, I think that's awesome. Good for us.
Yeah, there you go. Top of the morning to you. No,
what?
That's Ireland, isn't it?
And there goes our entire UK audience. Great. Oh my god.
What happened this week in gaming? Let's just get right into it before we Brexit from everywhere.
Just shut up. So this week in gaming history, I'm going to start all the way back in 1984.
Oh.
And this is in Japan on the Famicom system. We got Duck Hunt.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, in the U.S., Duck Hunt was actually, put in the NES, right? It came in package with Super Mario Brothers. You got Super Mario and Duck Hunt. So in Japan, it was just released on its own.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. All right, cool.
Yeah, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Moving right along to 1986. Also in Japan, we got Ninja Kid. I don't know if you remember that game.
Oh my god, I do remember Ninja Kid. That was the one with the first level boss was just like this giant headed first level boss. I'm thinking of Kid. No, I'm thinking of Kid Nicky.
No, that's Kid Nicky.
Kid Nicky. All right, never mind. I never heard of Ninja Kid.
Ninja Kid was a game where it started with just an overhead map of the area, and then you walked around to the forest of the dojo that you needed to fight in, and then the side-scrolling board would start.
Yes. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, I used to love that game. Also in 86 this week, we got Dig Dug 2, Trouble in Paradise.
Where did I just see that? I saw that recently. I forgot there was a Dig Dug 2, let alone it being called Trouble in Paradise.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I remember Dig Dug 2, but I don't remember the extra title.
Well, because it was an overhead view.
That's right. It was weird.
It was an overhead view, and what happened was instead of digging down, you kind of dug holes in islands.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, and you still blew up all for a hero in Dig Dug. The hero in Dig Dug is really like a sadistic SOB because he'd fill you with air and pop you. It's a horrible way to die.
It's a horrible way to die, but when the alternative is they're trying to kill you, I think it's perfectly plausible.
Drop the rock on them. Get some extra points.
No, you know what? You watch them suffer.
Trouble in Paradise.
Anyway, moving on to 1987, also on the Famicom. We got 3 really solid releases. I'm sorry, 2 on the Famicom. Okay. We got Renegade.
Ooh,
do you remember Renegade?
Yes, love that game.
I love that game too, and Rygar.
Rygar.
Rygar was an awesome game. And then on the Sega Master System, Rocky.
Yeah.
I remember the cover to that game because the games on the Master System in the beginning, remember the cover was just like black and white stripes?
Yeah, it was a grid. It was like the grid paper you use in math class.
It was a grid, and then you just had the title of the game.
Yeah, right. It was so boring and plain.
It was, but you know what? I mean, it still sold systems.
Oh, totally.
It sold games.
And I always forget because every time I go to the Retro Gaming Expo, not the expo, the Retro Game Nights out here, they have the Master System set up, and I forget how good the graphics were for a system like that. It was wild.
Well, I think that's why they made an easy transition over to the Sega Genesis because I feel like the Master System was like way better than than it was supposed to be.
Oh, totally.
Jumping up to 1988, we got Akari Warriors 2 for the Famicom.
Okay.
Which had a subtitle as well, Victory
Trouble in
Road.
Paradise? Oh.
No, not Trouble in Paradise, right? Akari Warriors 2, Trouble in Paradise.
Everything's going to be Trouble in Paradise.
Every subtitle now for the sequels, yes. And then on the Sega Master System in Japan, they got Solomon's Key, which I love.
What year?
This was 1988.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We talked about it when we talked about the mini NES Famicom because that's on the Famicom. Yep. Solomon's Key is a sleeper hit. I mean,
yeah, absolutely love that game. Great puzzling game.
Totally.
Great puzzle game.
If you can get it, download it.
Yep. Jumping on to 1990, in Japan on the Sharp X68000. I know.
Dying to see what this thing looks like.
Me too. So 1990, we got River City Ransom on the Sharp X68000.
Okay.
Moving along to 1991, this time in the United States, finally. We got the DOS version of Atomic Tetris.
Atomic Tetris?
Never heard of it.
No, how does that work?
I don't know, but it was on DOS in 1991.
Let alone DOS.
And the same week in 1991, on the Sharp X68000, they got Bomberman.
I've never played a Bomberman.
I played the first one, really long time ago, and now for the Switch, that was the second game I bought. Because when I buy a new system, I never buy one game; I always buy two.
You bought it already?
Yeah,
I didn't even know it was out. Okay, I remember you telling me to buy it, but
I told you to buy it because it came out at launch, and it has multiplayer, so we can play it.
Oh, now I'll definitely buy it. Okay.
Yeah, so I bought Breath of the Wild, and I bought Bomberman.
Mm-hmm.
Bomberman has yet to be turned on.
That's what she said.
Pretty much. Well, I mean, what do you expect when you come out the same time as the new Zelda game that everybody's been waiting for?
Yeah, really, right?
That's
living up to a dream.
All right, getting back to this week in gaming history. I'm gonna jump to 1995.
Okay.
On Neo Geo
Ooh.
in the United States, we got Fatal Fury 3, Road to the Final Victory Road, and Trouble in Paradise. Road to the Final Victory, Fatal Fury 3.
Should have left it there. See how many people would have tried to look that one up.
No. Moving on to 2001, we got in the United States on Windows, PC Windows, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Oh, okay.
And then also in the U.S. in 2001, Game Boy Color got Batman, Chaos, and Gotham.
Ew. All right.
Oh.
That was a tough one.
Loved it. 2002, Spider-Man came out on PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, and Windows.
I'm trying to remember. Was that
Spider-Man?
based on the movie?
It was based on the movie.
Okay, I remember that one. Yep.
Yeah, which was actually I remember it being a decent game, especially for like a movie title.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
Nope. 2003 on Xbox in the U.S., Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Okay.
2004 on PlayStation 2 in the United States and Canada, we got UFC Sudden Impact. So
that
an
was
Ultimate
the
Fighting
second
Championship.
one, I think, right?
Yes,
probably
it was.
the first part. All right,
the first one was just called UFC.
Yeah.
Yep, and then 2005 on Game Boy Advance in the United States, we got Popeye: The Rush for Spinach. We also got Psychonauts for Windows and Xbox.
Oh, that was a good game.
And then I'll save the best for last. And when I say the best, it's really the best for you, not necessarily for our listeners. 2005, we got WWE WrestleMania 21 for Xbox.
Ooh, yes. That was a good one. I remember that one.
I enjoyed that one,
That was
too.
a fun one, yep.
Yeah, it was a lot better than... I forgot there was one WrestleMania on there that we all got angry at because when you got eliminated from the Royal Rumble, you couldn't be another player.
Oh, yeah. Which one was
that? Was that Day of Reckoning?
I think it was the GameCube version, yeah.
Yeah, there was one of them. And
19. WrestleMania 19.
19.
On GameCube.
Yeah, destroyed the whole game. It's
Yeah.
like if you came out first you knew you were going to lose.
Day of Reckoning was actually awesome because Day of Reckoning, through like the controls, felt like the N64 games.
Yep, and then they made it Day of Reckoning 2, and then they never made any more.
Oh, yeah, and then they were Dunsky.
Yep, more or less. So that's this week in gaming.
Nice, I like it. Good stuff.
Yeah, so I would not allow you to wrap up our show without This Week in Gaming, at least. We've got, ever since we introduced This Week in Gaming and Retro Spotlight, I don't think we've missed a show with those.
No, we have not. No. Well, we've got This Week in Gaming. We haven't hit a spotlight yet. Do we have one this week?
It's funny you should bring that up. I do have a Retro Spotlight this week.
Right.
And you know what? And last week, I thought we did something interesting last week where we introduced a new segment, the Retro Reject, because I was initially looking up a game for Retro Spotlight, and then I realized it was so bad that I didn't want to waste Retro Spotlight on it. So then it became the Retro Reject. This week, I thought I would do something interesting with the Retro Spotlight because it's something that now for the last few weeks I think we've been laughing about and we've been asking questions about. I did not do a Retro Spotlight on a game this week.
Oh, what?
I did a Retro Spotlight on a system.
Oh?
So this week's Retro Spotlight will be on the Sharp X68000.
Yes! What?
So
please tell me you have photos.
We'll post the photos on Facebook. But yes, we are focusing on the Sharp X68000, which probably appeals to all of nobody except Larry. But we've been talking about it so much in This Week in Gaming. We were bringing it up here and there. So I was like, you know what? I want to find out more about this myself because I know nothing about this this thing. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So the Sharp X68000 was published by, you guessed it,
Namco.
Sharp.
Oh. Okay.
Published by Sharp, and the first version of it was released in March 1987. This was only released in Japan.
Okay.
So, and the reason why we don't know much about it is because it was actually a CPU. So it was kind of like a Commodore 64.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of like that type of gaming system. So there were 11 different versions of the Sharp X68000 over the course of 5 years.
Whoa.
So from 87 to 92, they were releasing different versions. Again, just like a computer, it would get upgraded over time, so you can buy a new one.
Okay.
And then finally, the 12th version in 1993 was ultimately canceled. And that is where it ended. And I believe it was subtitled the Sharp Power X.
Okay.
That was the version that never wound up coming out.
Gotcha.
So, what was interesting about the Sharp X68000, you ask?
Nobody? Do every week.
Okay. Well, the first model featured a 10 megahertz Motorola 68000 CPU, which is where they got the name for the system. Sharp X68000.
That's some heavy-duty weaponry right there.
I know. It had a whopping 1 megabyte of RAM and no hard drive.
Really?
When it was released in 1987. No hard drive. Remember, the Commodore 64 did not have a hard drive. You had to boot everything on a floppy disk.
It's fun. You kind of take hard drives for granted nowadays. It's almost like you just think it's part of the internal components, like that cause it to run. But that makes sense. Yeah, you think about it now. That makes sense.
Not true.
Okay.
So the first version of it had 1 megabyte of RAM with no hard drive. Now, the last model that was released in 92-93 had upgraded from 10 megahertz to a 25 megahertz CPU.
Whoa!
And it went all the way up to 4 megabytes of RAM.
All right, now we're talking, folks. Put on your goggles. It's going to get wild.
And you could expand the RAM up to 12.
Whoa, really? Triple the size. Okay.
Triple the RAM.
Now we're talking about this bad boy.
Okay. So the Sharp X68000 ran on an operating system called Human 68K, which was developed specifically for Sharp. And it ran basically like MS-DOS. So you would type in commands and execute them.
Like a human.
Like a human. Exactly. It featured 2 soft eject 5.25-inch floppy drives in some models. In other models, it had 2 3.5-inch floppy drives.
Really? Okay.
Smaller disks. Yep. It was one of the first systems to ever feature a software-controlled power switch. So pressing the switch would signal the system software to save and shut down.
Wow! Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Basically, all the modern PCs that have that power button, it came from the Sharp X68000.
Wow, Sharp ahead of its game.
Exactly. I told you that it ranged from 1 to 4 megabytes of RAM. Its color, its color base extended up to. Let me get the number right.
12.
12. No. No, it could hold up to 65,536 colors.
That actually sounds about right. Oh, 65,000?
Yeah, which is actually small.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like back then though. I think that seemed
back then it was pretty solid. I mean, that's 16-bit. 16-bit. It did the color palette was 16-bit RGB, and considering that it came out in 1987, that's pretty good because you compare it to the NES was 8-bit. So this was actually double that.
That's pretty wild.
Which is cool. And then just to close off, I mean, because this isn't exactly a very lengthy retro spotlight, because this was, just on the system. Just some of the other games that came out from it, aside from the ones that we've mentioned in This Week in Gaming History. But Afterburner existed on this system. And you remember, Afterburner was a 16-bit game that came out like years later on the Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
So Afterburner, Bomberman, Bubble Bobble, Final Fight, Gradius, Lemmings, Sim City.
Whoa! Wow.
Tetris.
Okay.
And Street Fighter II Champion Edition.
Really?
Yeah, all played on the Sharp X 68,000.
On a floppy? How many? You would think a game like Street Fighter II would take up a few floppies.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming that Street Fighter II must have come out on probably one of the last versions of this.
It's got to have been. Yeah, that's a lineup.
Yeah, so now we know everything we need to know about the Sharp X 68,000.
And hopefully you'll put pictures up on Instagram, because I still don't know what this stupid thing looks like.
I plan on it, but since I'll be in Japan, I'll probably forget. So that's your homework.
Oh boy.
I did all the research on it. Now you get to look up the pretty pictures.
I get to post.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. Well, that was quite a surprise. I was not expecting a system, let alone the Sharp X68.
Well, I want to try and keep our retro spotlight. I don't want it to just be on one thing. I like to keep our listeners guessing. Maybe somebody is so moved by our spotlight that they'll go out and buy a Sharp X 68,000. Odds are it'll be me or you. But
maybe Super Potato has one.
I'll ask.
They'll throw you out.
I'll walk in. I'll be like, Sharp X 68,000?
Get out. Speak of such system.
Yep. They'll be like, I bet you it did better than the Virtual Boy.
Hey-o.
Lasted longer.
And with that, we're going to close the show, folks, because I don't like my Virtual Boy being made fun of. But no, that's cool.
Poor Larry and his Virtual Boy.
with the Sharp 68,000, that's pretty sweet. I just find it funny. It's the X68,000. I don't know why I always find that part funny.
Well, you can also I forgot to mention one last game. Castlevania was also on.
Really? Oh man, that had a good lineup.
No, it had. That's probably why it lasted so long.
Probably, it's got to have been. All right, cool stuff. So,
very cool stuff.
All right, and with that, we're going to start to wrap it all up. And as usual, Japan, enjoy it.
Thank you, and I will be coming back with a shopping bag full of games and a bill.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. Thank God for PayPal.
Yeah, I accept PayPal and credit card.
So, yep. Safe flight, safe trip. Hopefully your Switch holds up in the middle of the air as well and doesn't crash on you.
Oh no, it better, because I have a 12.5-hour flight.
Oofa! All right.
Nothing to do.
And again, don't forget the Facebook page, Retro Gamers Podcast. Don't forget the Instagram page, _Retro Gamers. What else is happening? That's pretty much about it.
I don't know. My show's still in a film festival. I gave that information out, but I never posted it online. Larry, you got to do all the posting.
I will. Send me.
I'm just. Did you post it?
Yes, I did. It was
okay.
I put
so
the
again.
festival.
But just a little more information. Inside Guy, which is a television pilot that my writing partner and I co-wrote and produced and directed and shot and did all that stuff. It will be playing at the Die Laughing Film Festival in Hollywood. And I finally have a date. It will be Saturday, May 13th at 3 p.m.
Oh, there you go. So if you're in the area, folks, definitely go check it out. It's an awesome show, I'm telling you.
Yes, Larry actually did see it, and he liked it. And no bias whatsoever.
No, honestly. None whatsoever. I am kind of in it, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, that's right. You do make a cameo. I forgot about that cameo.
So, but no, definitely check it out. This is our podcast, so and why not push the hell out of it? So
I'm doing my best.
Good, excellent. And I will be appearing probably at a local pub somewhere. And if you see me there,
drunk.
Probably. No, this weekend when we're recording is Easter, so I'll be with family. So.
Like I said, getting drunk.
My family, no doubt. All right, cool. So yeah, check out Inside Guy if you're in the area. Check it out. With the Die. What is that? Die Laughing?
Die Laughing Film Festival.
All righty. And otherwise, folks, have a wonderful week, wonderful time, and I will catch you next week, and we'll talk some more retro gaming.
And I will be coming to you from Japan.
All right, folks. Have a good one.
Again.
Yeah. For the last time from Japan. See you all later.